Starting off this list in our number 10 spot, we have pink dolphins. There's a few weird things going on with these guys, but let's start with the most obvious, which is of course their color. These residents of the Amazon River are the largest of all river dolphins, and adults end up acquiring a strange pink coloring, which is more prominent in the males. Scientists aren't exactly sure why these guys are pink or why their color comes later in life, as they are born with a more gray color that is usually expected of dolphins. There are of course theories as to how they get their colors, however, with the most common being the thought that the color is brought on by scar tissue that results from either rough games or fighting with other pink dolphins or predators. I said at the beginning of this point that they are strange for a few reasons, and while their super unique and gorgeous color is one, the other has less to do with them and more about a very interesting legend that surrounds them. Legend goes that these dolphins actually transform into very handsome men in the evenings, and during this time they hypnotize and seduce young women before turning back to dolphins again near sunrise. The origins of this myth are rooted in some pretty dark cover-ups, so I think it's best if we just lay that one to rest and let these dolphins not take the blame for humans' awful behavior. In our number 9 spot today we have the boiling river. It is pretty common knowledge that the Amazon is home to the longest river in the world, but there is another river found in the Amazon rainforest that is equally as astonishing, but for a very different reason. The boiling river got its name for being exactly that, as it is a river that is near a boiling point at all times. The water temperature reaches up to 93 degrees Celsius, which is just shy of the boiling point, and the steam coming off of the surface of the water is an obvious warning to all living creatures that it is absolutely unswimmable. You could, however, poach an egg in this river, although that's probably not the recommended cooking method. There is still debate around the source of heat for this river, but as of right now it is believed to be entirely natural and geothermal. Despite the river not being near any active volcanoes or geothermal vents, it is quite an anomaly. There are of course more local legends that state the river is a place of power and that the Mother of Waters is responsible for the creation of this incredible and strange river. Either way, just don't swim in the river and everything will be fine. In our number 3 spot today we have the corpse flower. Okay, we're back with another strangely large thing, and this time it is another flower that is called the corpse flower, which is a terrible nickname for a flower. This flower is deep green on the outside and a beautiful burgundy color on the inside, and it also features the world's largest unbranched inflorescence in the world. Both male and female flowers grow inside of the same inflorescence, but the females bloom first, with the males following in a day or two, which usually prevents the flowers from self-pollinating. These plants usually require 7 to 10 years before the initial blooming period, and after that, the blooming tends to be fairly sporadic. Some will take another 7 to 10 years, and some are able to bloom every other year. As the flower blooms, it is around human body temperature, which allows for its scent to be quite prominent, which you'd think would be nice, but apparently this is another flower that smells like a rotting corpse, which is where it gets its awful nickname from. These odors, however, are super helpful to the plant as it allows it to attract pollinators, which are usually insects that like to feast on rotting flesh. So I guess while the scent is unbelievably unpleasant to humans, at least there are creatures that are more helpful to this flower that actually enjoy it, which I guess is just probably for the best. In our number 2 spot today we have this plastic eating fungi. This is a fungi that could help us solve one of the world's most pressing issues, which is the overpopulation of plastic. We have way too much plastic on this earth and virtually no way to get rid of it, but this discovery could help us fix that. This is the very first fungus ever found that can support itself on polyurethane in anaerobic conditions, which means that it not only can consume plastic, but it also does not require oxygen for growth. In fact, oxygen may even affect it negatively, which could make it a perfect species to help remove plastic from our oceans and other places with little to no oxygen. This is a fairly new discovery, which means it of course is still in the research phase. It will require more time before we are exactly sure how to best utilize its incredible properties, but this may be the solution to one of humanity's biggest questions and problems. And of course this isn't a ticket to just start throwing plastic in the oceans, and should serve as a reminder to us all that our earth is full of unbelievable things, and if we stopped ruining it for a second, we might be able to realize its full potential and see just how lucky we all are to have such a beautiful planet. In our number 1 spot today we have Silkhenge. Okay, we already talked about one spider that was actually pretty cool, and begrudgingly I have to talk about another one because it also is equally as unbelievable, but here's the strangest part about it. We don't even actually know what the spider is. There is some kind of spider that is making what is referred to as Silkhenge. This piece of spider art was first discovered in 2013 by Troy Alexander, who posted a photo of it on the internet asking for help in identifying it, but no one could help because it's a totally unknown phenomena. These structures are created by spiders and help with reproduction because they're actually protecting eggs. There's one main spire that is constructed of spider silk, and that is where the eggs are contained, and then surrounding that spire is a sort of circular fence that is also made of spider silk. The name comes from its similar appearance to Stonehenge, and no one knows what kind of spider is making these insane structures, or if it's a multitude of different kinds of spiders. Either way, it certainly is one of the most astonishing things being created by a tiny, mysterious creature.
At number 10 we have the animals are going to die. Yeah, I'm gonna be super blunt with this one. If we lose the rainforest, a bunch of animals are gonna die, and you can say goodbye to biodiversity. There's over 10% of the world's species living in the rainforest. That's a lot, bro. Imagine you're at a party with 100 people, and then 10 of those people catch on fire because everyone else at the party was too careless. The party would suck after that. It's hard to keep a good time going when 10 people burn to death right in front of you. And many of these animals can't just be taken out of the rainforest and then put into a zoo. First of all, zoos are cruel and we should shut all of them down, but these animals need a complex environment that is the rainforest. Without that, they can't survive. Like, you can't just take a person from Chicago and then put them with a bunch of monks to live in the mountains. They wouldn't know the language or what any of the local sports teams would be. It would be traumatizing. At number 9 we have medicine. Because the Amazon has so many different things living inside of it, it has offered us the ability to experiment with some substances that are unique to that area. And some of the stuff that we pull out of the massive jungle could be used to make medicines to cure all sorts of diseases. The key to stopping hangovers could be locked away in the lush green. Imagine you could party all night and then wake up the next day feeling like you got a full 8 hours, even though you only slept for 20 minutes on your buddy's couch before you had to go to work. Whoever made that discovery would be a hero. It's estimated that up to 1/4 of the world's base source of modern medicine would be lost if we lose the Amazon. Like, imagine you're at a party with 100 people and 25 of them catch on fire. Now this party for sure sucks, and someone please call 911. At number 8 we have war. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. But if we don't stop burning down the Amazon, people are probably gonna go to war. That's gonna be on the Billboard Top 100 by the end of the week, no doubt about it. Well, if we keep turning a bunch of trees into ash, it's going to have an effect on food supply, air quality, and as we mentioned before, medicine for a lot of people. What happens when people run out of food, clean water, clean air, and can't get any aspirin? Well, they're gonna get pretty cranky and very desperate. And when you have a bunch of cranky, desperate people who haven't eaten in a long time, you're probably gonna have an all-out war. Doing this much damage to the environment is going to have a drastic effect on people's lives. At number 7 we have loss of money. I mean, if there's one way we can try to convince these massive companies to stop tearing down trees, it's definitely with even more green. The main reason that the rainforest is being torn down is because the land is converted for commercial use. These big companies come through with big ugly trucks and rip out all the beautiful natural foliage so they can repurpose the land for rubber trees, palm oil trees, and even grazing areas. I would hate to see what their homes look like. I'm sure they suck at decorating. They probably took out all the natural light and then replaced it with neon frame pictures of their own. But these companies don't realize that in the long run, they are making way less money. It's thought that in the pharmaceutical industry alone, the rainforest is worth about $150 billion. The global rubber industry, even including everything outside of the rainforest, is only worth $26 billion. And the palm oil industry, even including all the stuff outside the rainforest, is only worth $60 billion. The money gained doesn't even come close to the amount of money that's being lost. Y'all are just being stupid, man. You gotta think about long-term growth. At number 6 we have climate change. Yeah, we already talked about this in the intro, but it's kind of a big deal, so I'm going to talk about it again. If we burn down the whole Amazon, climate change is going to get worse, and then the flood will kill us all, or lack of food, or cannibals. Any of them, really. Now, part of me thinks that the government has a carbon gun hidden away in Area 51 that can suck all the carbon out of the air and save the planet in like 20 minutes, and that this whole climate change thing is just something to distract us from the fact that the Clintons are so powerful they can kill anyone at any time. time, but I'm not willing to bet all my chips on that just yet. For now, I'm gonna hope that not burning down the Amazon will save us, and it can. The Amazon is a carbon sink, which means it sucks a bunch of carbon out of the air. The thing is a giant scrub brush for the atmosphere. 40% of the world's carbon is absorbed by the world's forests. That's a lot. Imagine you're at a party with 100 people, and then 40 of the people there are actively working to shrink their carbon footprint. That would be a pretty woke party. At number 5, we have displacement of indigenous people. This is probably one of the saddest parts about this whole list. There are people who have made the Amazon their home for centuries, and if it burns down, where are they supposed to go? That is their land, and they've made a life that isn't so easily changed. You don't go from living in a tribe in the Amazon, hunting with a bow and arrow, to working at Walmart and putting money into a tax-free savings account. There's a lot of people who rely on the rainforest to survive. Around 31 million people either live in or off the Amazon. The people who live in these areas need the land to live. They need the areas for food, and for some of them they haven't been exposed to outside communities. Because most of us are filthy animals and carry a bunch of diseases, we have way more bacteria on us than any of these tribes have ever seen. So when these indigenous people come in contact with us, sometimes they can die just from the exposure to these new diseases. They don't have a natural immunity to them. There's not vaccines in the deep dark corners of the rainforest. At number 4, we have major damage to the ocean. If we actually don't stop the horrific act of burning down the rainforest like joints at a party, the carbon levels are going to skyrocket, which we kind of already covered, but this won't just affect the atmosphere. Some of the carbon will get absorbed into the ocean, which means the ocean will become more acidic. If you don't know what that means, don't feel bad. The only reason I know what it means is because I had to look it up for this video. Now, if the ocean becomes more acidic, then most of the animals can't live in there. We're gonna see a mass extinction of sea life. Some stuff will be able to survive, but so many fish are gonna die a horrible death of swimming in an ocean that's too acidic. If a ton of fish die out of nowhere, well, it's probably gonna lead to famine and every good fish and chip restaurant closing. That means no more sushi, no more oyster bars, no more Red Lobster. Well, I mean, Red Lobster could stay open on the Cheddar Bay biscuit alone. Every time I go, I eat like 15 of them, even though they clog my colon up like concrete in a drain pipe. But if we destroy the rainforest, say goodbye to seafood. At number 3, we have erosion. So if the Amazon gets destroyed, there's now going to be a massive plot of land that used to be held together by vegetation. Now that all that vegetation is gone and all that land is loose, like your stool after Taco Bell, and what does loose stool do? It flows, baby. Oh, it flows fast. And that's what that loose stool land is going to do. This will cause mudslides and a whole bunch of other natural disasters. On top of that, the rainforest is what fertilizes the soil. So all that flowing earth will be unfertilized. And then when it smashes into farmland, it will make that soil unusable. Basically another situation that leads to massive famine where we all become cannibals and eat our friends. Number 2, we have evapotranspiration. A big word for my little brain. What the hell is evapotranspiration, you may ask? Well, it's when plants give off vapor from their leaves in the process of photosynthesis. This goes up into the atmosphere and makes clouds, and then it comes back down as rain. The whole thing is the circle of life. But you may think that it's not a big deal. How much water vapor comes off of plants and gets turned into clouds? Well, a lot. An acre of corn can produce 4,000 gallons of water vapor a day, and somewhere between 10 to 15% of water vapor in the atmosphere comes from plants. And this will stretch super far. The decrease in rainfall will stretch as far as the Sierra Nevada, and areas between the Amazon will be seeing a decline of 50% in rainfall. Areas like California have already seen the effects of deforestation in the form of drought, which leads to massive fires. So not only will we all be cannibals, but everything will be on fire. And number 1 on our list, it won't come back. This isn't something you can just fix by planting seeds. The whole thing would be gone for good. The Amazon rainforest is a delicate ecosystem that was formed 56 million years ago when the world was hot enough to create rainforests. So the conditions that it takes to create a beautiful ecosystem like that are gone. And we already covered how the soil would be crap, the rain would be gone, the plants and animals would all be dead. The rainforest would all be gone. So we get one shot at saving this thing, guys. Let's try to do it right.
Starting off this list in our number 10 spot, we have the peanut head bug. Of course, there is a scientific name for this bug that certainly makes it seem more sophisticated, but the peanut head bug definitely sounded a lot more fun. These guys love to live in tropical forests and can be found in Mexico as well as both Central and South America. Okay, so there's a few crazy things going on with this bug, so let's start off with the elephant in the room, which would be the peanut head. This bug reaches a length of up to 85 to 90 millimeters, with its head being as long as 10 to 15 of those millimeters. Other than being shaped like a peanut, this bug has false eyes that resemble that of a lizard or a serpent, which of course acts as a deterrent to predators. When being attacked, this bug will also spread its wings, which will then display another yellow pair of much larger false eyes, as well as releasing a terrible smelling substance. I feel like all of those traits have definitely qualified this bug to be on today's list, but let's just add one more for good measure. These bugs will also knock their heads on a hollow tree in order to create vibrations for mates. Okay, now I'm really done talking about the peanut head bug. In our number 9 spot today, we have the walking tree. Okay, so these trees got their name because of a myth surrounding them that would suggest they are able to walk. I mean, extremely slowly, but that's what it would seem. As cool as that would be to imagine trees roaming around the forest floor while humans aren't around, these trees aren't actually walking, of course, but what is happening is still pretty cool and definitely worth talking about. Basically, these trees just have a really amazing root system. Firstly, these trees look like they're almost on some kind of stilts, which isn't necessarily the most usual thing to see, but it's just all a part of their roots. It isn't quite clear why these trees appear this way, and there have been many theories as to why, but none have been proven yet. The walking myth comes from the fact that it is believed that as conditions on one side of the tree improve, the tree will be more likely to be regrowing near that side and will allow the roots on the opposite side to kind of just die off. This of course could potentially lead to very minimally small movements over an extended period of time, but it still makes sense as to where the story may have come from. The trunk is used in the construction of houses and other structures, as well as hunting spears, and the inner parts of the stilt roots are used as a male aphrodisiac. This tree produces a yellow fruit which is edible as well. In our number 8 spot today, we have the Brazilian grape tree. Before I dive into this one, guys, please don't forget to hit that thumbs up button if you're enjoying the video so far, because it really helps us out. This tree is a slow growing evergreen tree that features salmon pink leaves when it's young, before they turn green as it matures and gets older. That's not the only strange and interesting thing about these trees, however, as they grow their grape-like fruit right on the trunk, which isn't the most normal thing for trees. These fruits are purplish black and can be eaten raw, or they can sometimes be used to make jam. While this tree is very adaptable, in its preferred climate, this tree can flower and fruit up to 5 or 6 times a year. The most common diseases that affect these trees are rust, canker, dieback, and fruit rot. So while there's a lot about these trees that are of course similar to other trees in general, this one definitely has some unique features that landed it a spot here today. In our number 7 spot today, we have the zombie ants. Okay, this one might be small scale, but it is truly straight out of a horror movie. There's a type of insect pathogenic fungus that is commonly found in tropical forest ecosystems. This fungus infects a certain kind of ant, and once infected, this ant basically turns into a zombie. Good news is the ant doesn't suddenly go around eating others of its kind, but it is still being controlled and manipulated by this fungus. The ant will leave their nest in usual trails and head for the forest floor, which has better conditions for fungal growth. From there, the ant will then bite and attach itself to a major vein on a leaf and basically just stay there until it dies, which is usually around 4 to 10 days. During these days, the fungus will start to basically sprout out of the ant's head so as to be prepared to infect the next unsuspecting creature. Okay, that one might have been the grossest one on this list. In our number 4 spot today, we have poison dart frogs. These frogs do look kind of cute, but they apparently are one of the most toxic creatures on Earth. They can be a variety of colors from black, yellow, red, green, copper, or blue, and it all depends on their habitats and how toxic they are. These colors can help them to keep predators away, as it is a sign that eating them is probably not worth it, but if that's not enough of a deterrent, they've got a special weapon ready to go. It is said that the poison from one of these frogs would be enough to kill 10 adult humans, which is crazy. The name of these kinds of frogs came from the old tradition that the indigenous people of Colombia used, where they would cover the tip of their blowgun darts with the frog's poison before hunting. Aside from these guys being super small but super poisonous, another strange thing about them is that we don't actually know where their poison comes from, but at the moment it is believed that it may be their diet. it. In our number 3 spot today, we have the Hamza River. Many of us already know about the Amazon River, and in part 1 we talked about the boiling river, but today we have a much less well-known river that is actually super interesting, and that is the Hamza River. This river wasn't discovered until very recently in 2011. This river is actually roughly the same size as the Amazon River, so why wouldn't we know about it? Well, it's because it's located 4 kilometers underground. This river also isn't really a river at all, but more of a slowly flowing aquifer. Both the Hamza and the Amazon River are the 2 main drainage systems for the Amazon basin, and the pair forms a geologically unusual instance of a twin river system that flows at different levels of the Earth's crust. While the Hamza is considered slow and only has 3% of the flow that the Amazon River has, that 3% is still 46 times that of the Thames. I'm not gonna lie, I never thought I'd get excited at the idea of a river, but this one is actually pretty cool. In our number 2 spot today, we have the Tyrant King Leech. These disgusting creatures were discovered quite recently, and I wish we never even knew they existed. These guys have 8 teeth, and their discovery came after one was found feeding on the mucous membrane of a girl who had recently bathed in the upper Amazon. Unlike other leeches, these guys only have 1 row of teeth, but they are disproportionately large. These horrifying things do not drop off their hosts after feeding, but instead will remain attached for days or even weeks. Because these guys prefer the mucous membranes, they aim for areas like the mouth, throat, and nose. Because of their small size, they aren't easily detectable at first either, but once attached, they can grow up to 7 centimeters, so surely they'd be noticeable by then. I'm not sure if these guys or the zombie ant fungus is worse. In our number 1 spot today, we have the Amazonian giant centipede. Okay, thank God this is the last one on this list because I am so freaked out by all of these creepy crawlies we're talking about today. These centipedes are the largest centipede species in the world with the ability to grow over a foot in length. These gross things will prey on basically anything that they can, which includes other large insects, spiders, millipedes, scorpions, and even tarantulas. But because they're so huge, it also includes small lizards, frogs, snakes, mice, and even bats. They have crazy hunting techniques for the largest of their prey and have been known to climb to the ceiling of caves in order to get to the bats, which is both incredible and so scary. These things are also venomous, and while it hasn't been a common occurrence for humans to die from a bite, there is one recorded incident that took place in 2014. This incident happened in Venezuela, and a person passed away after being bitten by one of these giant centipedes after it had hidden itself inside of an empty soda can. There are a lot of dangerous things crawling around on the forest floor of the Amazon, but this one might take the cake on being the most disgusting looking.
Starting us off, in at number 10, we have the boiling river that is over 100 degrees Celsius.
It's getting much hotter.
Turns out this place is real.
There's the boiling river. This part pretty hot.
If you fall in there, you would be cooking yourself. This river is also called Lambamba or Shene Lemishka, which means boiled by the heat of the sun, although some of the heat is actually geothermal. And it is known to be the only boiling river in the world. Andres Russo is a geoscientist, conservationist, author, science communicator, and educator who became the first scientist granted permission to study the boiling river of the Amazon back in 2011, so that was pretty recent.
Imagine a river, hot enough to kill you, said to be the home of a powerful Amazonian water spirit. That place is real, and I've been there.
From the boiling waters of the Amazon to now a water lily so big and so strong it can actually hold up an average person's weight, well, this mammoth of a lily comes in at number 9. The lily is called Victoria amazonica. It is known as the largest of the lily family. One thing we know about the Amazon rainforest is that it has a very unique climate and it has a lot of rainfall, which makes everything a lot bigger, including this lily pad. I mean, aren't these things just for frogs? This can probably house like the world's population of frogs. Okay, maybe not, but you guys get the point. This lily pad can reach up to 3 meters in diameter. And just like that, number 8, we have the Jesus Christ lizard. Is this real life right now? Who is naming these things? These Jesus Christ lizards have the capability of running on water, and it's pretty amusing to watch.
So I'm about to show you guys what these lizards are capable of by...
Moving into number 6, we have the frog who has nothing to hide. We're talking about the glass frog that is commonly found in the Amazon rainforest. These glass frogs are transparent. You can see everything inside.
They're typically characterized by their skin, which is so translucent you can see their organs. For scientists, this latest discovery is a good sign.
I think it's so creepy. Imagine that we're all translucent and you could see everyone's insides. I mean, that would freak me out. I wouldn't want to know what everyone's eating. We actually have another animal and another frog on this list. There are so many frogs out there. Doing the research for this, I was like, wow. Moving on to number 2, we have the Indigenous Tribe who live in the Amazon rainforest. I've been so fascinated with this. I really have been. There are about 400 to 500 Indigenous tribes. They are very isolated from the outside world. In fact, they have no contact with the outside world. The Yanomami tribe is the largest tribe in the rainforest, and they have about 20,000 people, and they live near the border of northern Brazil and southern Venezuela. Many other tribes only have about 20 to 30 people in it. In these tribes, there are 180 different languages spoken. I just think it's so crazy that, you know, we're all living in 2019, but we still have people in the world who are living in the Stone Age. Like, to those people, we are from the future, or we are what they call aliens.
10. City of Giants. We often talk about aliens being responsible for building great monuments like the pyramids, but did we ever consider it might be giants? In 2012, something was discovered deep in the Amazon that might suggest just that. A group of researchers, paired with a team of local guides, discovered what appears to be the remains of a large city close to the Ecuador side of the forest. At the center of the city was a large stone pyramid, 80 meters tall, with a flat area on top which held many artifacts. Scattered around the area were many things like old pottery and, most curiously, massive stone tools. They appeared to be much too large and heavy for any average-sized human to ever have been able to use. The government of Ecuador ruled that the formations were just naturally occurring, but the researchers heavily dispute this, saying that due to the rectangle-shaped bricks, cement-like bonding material, and perfectly circular holes, it can't possibly have been caused by nature. Instead, they, and others, believe that this was a city built by giants long ago. What you believe is up to you. Number 9. The Mapuche Monster. There are many different tribes scattered throughout the Amazon, some without contact to each other, and some without contact to even the outside world. Yet one thing that they all have in common are their stories of a large 7-foot-tall rainforest beast, similar to many cultures' depictions of Bigfoot. The creature is described to be bulletproof and having long hair. It apparently also has a smell that is so strong it makes hunters dizzy. These stories are so widespread and similar that many researchers have gone out in search of the monster, with no luck so far. Some scientists say that this is likely just a legend passed down for centuries, dating back to when giant land sloths roamed the forests, but local people believe it to be a spirit that will kill those who hunt more than their fair share. Number 6. Dangerous animals. Well, we've somehow made it this far without mentioning the many scary and terrifying creatures hiding within the depths of the forest. Life in the forest has evolved these creatures to have many unique and frightening abilities in order to survive. Let's start with perhaps one of their most famous, piranhas. Piranhas live in the Amazon River basin and are known for their incredibly strong and razor-sharp bites, even being known to have eaten human flesh. Next, poison dart frogs. While beautiful to look at, as their name suggests, they secrete a poison that can cause heart failure in just a few minutes. Arachnophobes look away, as I'm going to tell you about the Brazilian wandering spider. It is one of the most venomous spiders on the planet, and 8 different species of them wander the forest at night in search of food. So you may want to double check your sleeping bag before you get in, as their venom can lead to trouble breathing and paralysis. Finally, a very famous name in the rainforest, the green anaconda, or man-eater. These snakes can grow incredibly large and kill their prey by suffocating them within a tight, coiled hold. Number 3. The Man of the Hole. One famous resident of the vast rainforest is someone you've probably never heard of before. He is known as the Man of the Hole, as no one knows his true name or who he really is. So why is he so famous? He's indigenous to the rainforest and is known to be the very last remaining member of his remote tribe. The rest of his people were killed by farmers and land grabbers who wanted to make use of the land that they'd been living on. As a result, he is the loneliest man in the world, no one knowing his language or how to communicate with him. And it seems as though he doesn't want anyone to anyways. He has attacked government officials who have tried to come close, living on his now protected territory, digging holes to hide in and capture animals, earning his name of the Man in the Hole. It's also thought that he may be making these holes to try and capture anyone who would dare get close to him. He has been caught on camera only a few times, showing us that he's still around. Number 2. Elun. If you ever, for some reason, find yourself walking through the rainforest and you hear a distant whistling sound, it would be wise of you not to seek it out, especially if you've been stomping on a few too many plants lately. That's because what you are hearing might be the call of Elun, a demon who wanders the forest, protecting the wildlife and condemning those who would harm it. If you haven't done any damage to the forest, then he'll probably just scare you off. But if you have, you might as well start running. By calling out, the demon is trying to entice you to whistle back and reveal your exact location to him. If you do so, Elun's call will grow louder and louder, following you wherever you go. Eventually, it invades your mind as you sleep, drawing you into madness. I think that's a good enough reason to start being a little bit kinder to our natural surroundings. Number 1. El Lobizon. A widespread legend across South America is that of El Lobizon. It is a werewolf-like creature that can be seen walking on all fours and also on its hind legs. Different from Western and Hollywood interpretations and depictions of werewolves, El Lobizon is not created through a bite, but instead born. Any 7th son that is born in an unbroken line of boys will become the creature, usually transforming around their 13th birthday. The stories have caused people to abandon, give up, or even kill their own 7th son. Every full moon, the boy will transform into the wolf-like creature, hunting down prey with unmatched speed and endurance. While just a legend, with a place as vast as the rainforest, who knows if El Lobizon isn't hiding in those darkest hidden corners.
Recently, I discovered that the Amazon is beautiful, diverse, and absolutely horrifying. Turn on a light because it's about to get dark as we discuss some of the most terrifying Amazonian discoveries to date. Up first on our list, we have the incredibly bizarre appearance of a massive humpback whale in the heart of the Amazon jungle. No, I'm not kidding. A humpback whale was legitimately found washed up on land 50 feet away from the nearest ocean. And how it got there? Honestly, no one really knows. In 2019, the 36-foot, 10-ton animal was discovered far from its natural habitat in the undergrowth of the jungle. It was located after scientists were alerted of a large gathering of scavenger birds spotted in the jungle. There are a couple theories as to how or why the whale ended up where it did, none of which really do it for me, but I'll share them with you so you don't feel left out. The first theory is that the 10-ton whale was thrown out of the water and into the woods by rough seas after floating too close to the shores of Arona Beach, which is strange because whales are not usually found along the north coast of Brazil during February when the specimen was found. Not only that, but you're really telling me rough tides threw a 10-ton whale 50 feet into the jungle? Yeah, I'm just not buying it. Another theory is that some kind of mysterious alien force dropped the poor guy there, which honestly might actually make more sense at this point. But as always, when I can't figure something out, I'd love to know what you guys think. Next on the list, we have the Goliath bird eater, and heads up, it's a spider, and yes, it does eat birds. The Goliath is a massive tarantula. Its body measures in at about 5 inches, and it has a leg span of up to 11, which makes this thing certified nightmare fuel. The animal is obviously a carnivore, consuming not only birds, but mice, lizards, and frogs as well. It hunts by pouncing on its prey and then piercing it with inch-long fangs, which act as hypodermic needles, pumping neurotoxins into the bodies of its victims. The spider then drags its dinner back to its burrow where it liquefies the animal's insides before sucking it dry. So now that we know how it catches its own prey, let's discuss how it avoids becoming someone else's. The Goliath has pretty bad eyesight, but it does have highly sensitive leg hairs that can sense vibrations from all around. When the spider notices a predator is getting too close, it will rub its legs together, releasing the tiny harpoon-like hairs, which are tipped with stinging barbs, into the air, irritating predators' skin and eyes, strongly encouraging them to find a different meal. Also, they can lay between 50 and 150 eggs at a time, which is just awesome. Next on our list, we have the vampire wasp, a large-headed parasitic animal that grows to be just 0.2 shy of an inch, discovered in the Peruvian jungles of the Amazon. Two things you should know about this animal. One, the vampire wasp feeds by stinging its prey and then sucking out the blood and other internally bodily fluids of its victim. And two, the females lay eggs by locating a suitable insect host, stabbing it with their ovipositor, which is basically a tube-like egg-laying organ, and then laying eggs under the host's skin. When the eggs hatch, the juvenile wasps remain under the skin of their host, feeding on its insides until they become fully grown. I love you guys, but I hated learning that. Next up, at our halfway point, we have an animal absolutely no less terrifying than the rest, going by the name of T-Rex Leech. And it was discovered, drumroll please, inside someone's nose. Also known as the Tyrant Leech King, this animal can grow to be just under 2 inches. Of course, as a leech, it survives by sucking the blood from its prey. The way it does this is by using its 8.13mm teeth situated around its circular jaw to bite down on its prey, and then moving around in a sawing motion to open up the wound. Already, I apologize, but in the name of entertainment and at the expense of me sleeping tonight, I'm gonna keep going. Besides the T-Rex leech's abnormally large teeth and body, there is one other thing that makes it just a bit different than others in the leech family. Instead of attacking exposed surface skin, this guy likes to get a little more intimate, aiming for the orifices of its host bodies, such as, well, noses and mouths. Usually the noses and mouths of livestock, but judging by the nature in which it was discovered, I'd say they're really not that picky. If you guessed that next on the list we'd have another nightmarish creature capable of causing serious damage to those who come too close for comfort, give yourself a pat on the back because you're nailing it, as this next animal is exactly that. The Pyra, also known as the vampire fish, does not suck blood or insides of its prey, but it does have extremely large fangs that can grow to be up to 15 centimeters long. That's 5.9 inches. Almost half a foot of nightmare fuel. You might think there's some kind of saving grace here, but there's not. This animal is extremely fast and highly aggressive, considered to be one of the ultimate jungle predators. I guess we did have to even the playing field somehow though, as in recent years these feisty fish that measure in anywhere between 1.5 to 3 feet in length and weigh up to 20 pounds have become the catch of choice for fly fishers within the region. I hope you guys are doing alright, and I also hope you are not afraid of snakes, because if you are, this next one just might make your skin crawl. It's the green anaconda, aka the largest snake in the Amazon, reaching lengths of up to 30 feet, that's 9 meters, and diameters of up to 12 inches, 30.5 centimeters. And if you're still not impressed, these animals can weigh up to an astounding 550 pounds or 250 kilograms. These animals are members of the boa constrictor family, and although they have incredibly sharp teeth and powerful jaws, they are, thankfully, not venomous. But of course, they're incredibly strong, and they use their strength to crush their prey by curling up around it and restricting its airways, providing little chance for escape. The green anaconda is not at all a picky eater either, with an expansive diet of fish, reptiles, amphibians, tapirs, deers, dogs, capybaras, sheep, and whatever the heck else they can find, really. Luckily for us, attacks on humans are pretty rare, but not unheard of, and yeah, they can swim, like really well. So keep your eyes peeled for these masters of camouflage the next time you're taking a walk through the Amazon jungle.
Number 8, the electric eel. I say, ooh, girl, don't touch this. First of all, never rub an electric eel like that. Never rub one like they're a genie lamp. You'll want more than 3 wishes at that point. That's horrible. That was the moray eel. That one, bite your fingers off easily, but you should never touch an eel in the first place because a lot of them are electric. As its name suggests, these type of eels can mess you up even if you were to get the first hit. Specifically, the newly discovered 2.5 meter Electrophorus volti, appropriately named after Alessandro Volta, aka the guy who invented the battery. It can release a shock up to 860 volts, more than 7 times the voltage of a wall plug. Number 5. black caiman. If you aren't a fan of alligators, just go ahead and skip to number 4, I guess, because this one's terrifying, honestly. These super alligators live in calm, slow-moving rivers, of course, like the big bad anacondas, places you wouldn't expect a dinosaur to jump out at you. Essentially, that's where you're gonna find one. Just like dangerous river snakes, these black caiman will take it slow. They'll wait for their prey to have a little sip of water, and then, and only then, the largest predator in the Amazon will then race out and grab its lunch, and then quickly return to the water. It's so scary. I've seen this on Reddit. They're fast. They are quite fast. Birds, reptiles, mammals, you name it, this thing can eat it all, and it will eat it all with this big on people. Yeah, human beings. So stay away from the Amazon, stay away from the water. Don't do anything. Don't even go to zoos anymore. Just stop. Don't even exist. Number 3, mosquitoes. These guys suck no matter where you are. But when it comes to the Amazon, oh, it's much worse than you could ever imagine. Of course, as if anything else is not calming in there. Mosquitoes are one of the most dangerous because they can fly. You don't see them coming, and once they get you, too late, the damage has already been done. They have your blood, now they're gonna go sell it on the black web. If you travel to parts of the Amazon rainforest and you don't have yellow fever vaccinations or extremely strong mosquito repellent, then you are going to have an extremely bad time. Yeah, these guys are just clouds of malaria waiting for you to walk right into. And that's so disgusting. I can't even do it. Even cottages, I can't do it. I'm not a fan of mosquitoes. Number 2, bullet ants. Ugh, Ant-Man would not fight this ant. No way. They're called bullet ants because their bite feels like a bullet wound, so that is a promising start, my friends. It's also referred to as a Paraponera clavata. The bullet ant is commonly found in tropical rainforests in Central and South America. Their sting is considered the most powerful in the world, hence the, bullet alias, and its effects can last 24 hours. That's a long time to be in a horrible amount of pain. These guys get you in a colony though, game over. There's a good chance that you won't survive that. One was bad enough, let alone a colony? Oh, that's terrible. Its venom is so powerful that currently these ants are being studied for its use as a pesticide. So we're sacrificing ants in order to further their research on how to sacrifice ants.
Next up, we are keeping things cold-blooded with the bushmaster snake, a highly venomous genus of the pit viper family. The predominantly nocturnal reptile, whose diet consists largely of small mammals and birds, enjoys the damp forest floors of the Amazon rainforest. While you'd think a 6 to 12 foot, 11-pound snake might be hard to miss, this clever animal has been known to camouflage itself into the mud, grass, and fallen leaves, allowing it to better hunt for prey as well as protect itself against its very few predators. The fangs of the viper work like hypodermic needles, administering some of the deadliest snake venom in the world on demand when the cold-blooded creature decides to bite down on its prey. The venom, which works quickly to take out the animal's various prey, has horrific effects on humans. When the venom is injected, it quickly enters the bloodstream, causing vomiting, severe abdominal pain, diarrhea, sweating, low blood pressure, slowed heart rate, incoagulable blood, and shock. Luckily, there is an anti-venom available for this snake's bite, but even still, the symptoms are known to last up to 24 hours. And of course, without the anti-venom, death is pretty much a given, with human deaths by bushmaster bites racking up to an astonishing 84 in just 14 years between 2001 and 2015. Now, I know I've mentioned this before, but growing up in the islands has given me kind of a soft spot for sharks, and also educated me on the fact that more deaths per year are caused by falling coconuts than shark attacks. So naturally, I found it quite unnerving to learn about the highly aggressive nature of the bull sharks residing in the Amazon rivers. Also, I didn't know that sharks could live in rivers, let alone freshwater ones. Well, apparently while there is a general rule that sharks are only able to exist in bodies of salt water, it appears that the bull shark is somewhat of an exception. The animal's ability to survive despite a lack of salt in the environment is due to their unique kidneys, which can sense changes in salinity levels and inhibit the shark from losing its vital salt stores within its body, recycling it throughout the animal instead rather than flushing it back into the ocean. The bull shark's diet consists mainly of fish, but they are known to eat pretty much anything, including turtles, birds, sloths, dolphins, stingrays, and even other bull sharks. And yes, you heard me right, I did say sloths. The aggressive animal can grow to be up to 13 feet long and 1,300 pounds and has 50 rows of sharp, serrated, rotating teeth and an affinity for shallow waters. So I would definitely keep an eye out the next time you're trolling along the riverbanks of the Amazon. For this next one, we're taking it back to nature with the South American rattlesnake, another highly venomous pit viper species native to the Amazon rainforest. The rattlesnake can range from anywhere between 1.5 1.5 to 1.9 meters, 4.9 to 6.2 feet, and they are found enjoying the tropical grass lowlands of the Amazon. While the animal mainly feeds on reptiles, rodents, marsupials, and other unidentified mammals, unfortunately it has been known to be highly volatile, lashing out at human passerbys as well. The good thing is, most attacks come with warning signs, a raised head and body posture, as well as continuous rattling of its tail. When the snake does bite, however, venom injection is almost instant, and if its victim does not receive adequate treatment in a timely manner, death is pretty much a bona fide guarantee. The venom is made up of a mix of hemotoxins, myotoxins, and neurotoxins, and while it's pretty gnarly stuff, there is actually an upside to it. In recent years, scientists have actually figured out a way to isolate certain properties of the South American rattlesnake's venom and have been able to use them to synthesize a vaccine for HCV, hepatitis C, which is the leading cause of liver disease in humans worldwide. So I guess it's not all that bad. Alright you guys, last on our list today we have the Candiru pea fish, a parasitic fish that you do not want going anywhere near your bits and bobs. The Candiru, also known as the toothpick fish, generally inhabits the gills of catfish found in the Amazon rivers, attracted to the smells of ammonia and urea coming from the animal. When the parasitic fish enters the gill flaps, it uses spines coming from its body to secure itself in place and then begins sucking the blood of its host using sharp needle-like teeth. Some of you probably already know the turn I'm about to take with this, but if not, I should warn you, it's pretty dark and super gross. Not only have these fish been known to swim in the small orifices of other fish, but on rare occasions, confused by the scent of urea coming from humans, they tend to take a wrong turn and end up somewhere they are most definitely not welcomed. The male urethra. I'm gonna spare you the description of what happens once they get up in there because I think you get the picture, but just know it's an incredibly painful experience that requires a very invasive procedure to rectify. So, you know, stay safe out there.